and provide for those who are down on their luck, or this is the lifestyle that's working right now. So appreciate that.
But
yeah.
I do feel that the city and police and council is trying to address the issue.
I do, and I guess there's people who've been at it for a long time, and there's a lot of discouragement, and I'm fairly new, only into it a couple years. I have a very young family, so I've just recently become involved. I definitely see the efforts, and we really appreciate that. We just feel like we've got to stay on it until there are solutions. So, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Lux, and I'm the Vice President of the Venice Neighborhood Council, and I welcome you to Venice. I have other neighborhood council board members that are here. They're here. I've seen a couple. But I'm here to welcome you on behalf of the board and my community, and I want to thank you for these. This is excellent. One of the initiatives we have on our neighborhood council is to get everyone in Venice prepared. So I don't know if you have more of these, but we would love them. That would be great. We do have a lot of issues that you're going to hear about tonight, but we do work closely with the city council office. We work closely with the police department, and the recommendations that we make to the police and to the council office are often heard, and we work in partnership. We do appreciate the new homeless task force that is dealing on a compassionate level with the people that are homeless. We have many of them. We do support a safe overnight parking program, and we do support tightening the rules that make it better for the whole community. And I've lived here since 1970. I raised my 2 children here. I have 7 grandchildren and another one on the way. Some of them are in Venice, so I've seen a long history of what's gone on. And this is a great community. I wouldn't live anyplace else, so I'm happy you're here to share how great it is. We have our problems, but we try to work together to solve them. And I'm happy that you're here, and especially you, Giovanna, if you live here, then you know how wonderful it is. So thank you again for coming.
I'm Jim Smith. I'm with the local newspaper, The Beachhead. And I want to thank you for coming to Venice, even though we don't watch TV much in Venice, some of us. But if you're going to cover Venice, I hope you don't use the LA Times model, which basically boils down to endless articles about, look what those wacky Venetians are doing now. There are more serious issues in the community, and ones that are, I believe, more newsworthy. And I wanted to comment on the issue of the crime rate. Some kinds of crime are rising. It's criminal that many people have to live in their cars and don't have adequate housing. And it's criminal they have to live in RVs, and that the police come around and tow the only home they have to someone in the valley, forcing people likely as not onto the streets. And it may not be criminal, but it's really shameful that some of the wealthier people in the community have no compassion for those who have lower incomes and are in bad economic straits. And being forced out on the street is probably one of the worst things that can happen to anyone. I think all of you at ABC know we have a serious recession that's still going, with a large unemployment rate and people who can no longer afford their homes or their apartments, and they have no option except to go into their cars or their RVs or a van or something. And there should be understanding for this. And it should be a topic that the media covers. Certainly this is going on all over the country. But what's probably unique about Venice is we have a large low-income population, and we also have gentrification. So we have a clash of people with widely different economic levels. And in some cases, that clash is not pretty. It should be. People who give money for the victims and earthquake victims in Haiti, which is admirable, should also be giving money to their neighbors in Venice who are forced to sleep on the streets or in their cars. But often that doesn't happen. And I think if the media can play a positive role in this, it's to spotlight the serious problems that people have who suddenly have no income and no way to pay their bills, take care of their kids, and so forth. So I thank you for coming out, and please do it again.
Good evening, bienvenidos. My name is Lydia Ponce, and I'm here to offer my own personal crime report. The housing in Venice, the affordable housing that is owed by 3 or 4 criminal developers because they said they were going to and promised within their permits that they were going to provide 1 for every 10. There currently is about 11 to 15 units owed in Venice, and that is not including the count from Marina del Rey. Look into the Meloac, and I'll be any assistance, and there's people in this room that can give you information on that. The current housing crime report is also that the housing sales did not drop. It dropped about 250,000, but it never popped. The housing bubble never popped, and it slowed it down for a minute. And for a hot second, there was an idea that Whole Foods was going to keep and maintain the jobs that were offered to our neighborhood people, but it disenfranchised a lot of black and brown employees within a relatively short 6 weeks of their hire. There are illegal fences, Jatan, and back in the day, it was a request by the LAPD. The crime was, and people were cited on fixed incomes, that you had to look through the fence from the front lot, from their property to the back alley. Otherwise, you would be cited. You stroll through Venice, drive through Venice, and you'll see all the illegal fences. I think there's a little bit of money and revenue for the city to collect right there. There's other crimes that aren't being reported within the mass media because it's not good to cover these things because it's bad for Venice, for tourist business and tourists coming here, for the businesses local, and for the real estate sales. But there has to be something said about gang injunctions. When do our children, black and brown, stop being counted or taking pictures or patted down and stopped because they are black and brown? When do we see the positive of this total negative racist law when it comes to kids simply hanging out at Oakwood Park? There might be 1 or 2 knuckleheads across the street doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, but when is it that we find the answer for the gang injunction when our children do not become racially profiled as such, just because now they're a little bit older? The other crime I'd like to report is that there were 2 rapes last summer. One at Westminster Park and one between Town Hall and James Beach. And, you know, I don't know what's going on, but at 5 in the morning, there's sirens happening up and down Lincoln and sirens happening up and down Venice Boulevard, and yet nothing's reported. I never see anything on the news, and I do watch. And Channel 7, Vista, you might want to come and do a story, Vista LA, you might want to do a story about how many businesses are not owned by Latino and African American here in Venice, especially on Abbot Kinney, because the disenfranchised and the poor that are bussing the tables and washing the dishes have to take 2 buses and a train and another bus to get here to work, and they don't see their children. They don't get to see their families, and they can't afford to live here. There's something really wrong with that. Mayor Villaraigosa thinks that there are no poor here on the west side. There are pockets of poverty here that still need further funding. There's crimes of contradiction because we want healthy children, but yet the budget cut is going to cut and reduce sports activities at Venice High School. And the buses, we're not going to have buses to get to our games. So the last crime I'd like to report to you, and you need to look into, is the Venice Student Union. Since last May, they've been meeting far and few, somewhere between as many as 50 and as few as 8. Because they're disenfranchised with the current administration at Venice High School by not allowing them a permit to assemble and to speak and to basically announce that they have meetings. And all they want to do is be a part of this process of the budget cuts, of things that are happening to them